Michael Dominic Pelias from St. Commerce de Lelis, B16. Gun control. For peace or for war? First of all, what is gun control? Gun control is a law or policies that regulates the manufacture, sale, possession, and use of these firearms. They vary greatly on different kinds of countries, like the UK, which has a strict limit of possessions and use of it, or like the US, which has less policies about it. And there are some countries, even children are holding guns instead of a pen and a paper. There are some countries that give rise to terrorism. There are people who are willing to kill for their own selfishness. And there are people who are willing to sacrifice for the protection of their families. Should people be allowed to hold guns? Or should the military, police, hold it for us? In our world today, there are lots of tragic moments happening all around the globe. Like people killing people, family killing one another, and people fighting on what they believe in. If people were allowed to hold guns, it could result in more gun-related crimes. It could give rise to terrorism and rebellion, a common problem in the Middle East, where children are allowed and trained to use guns, killing their own countrymen for supporting the other side or not believing on what they believe in. Not only that, but people might commit homicide, suicide, and murder. If we are allowed to hold guns, crimes like this will arise and more people might be hurt. In the news and internet, I have read and heard about people with guns entering school and shooting everyone he sees. This is an example why people should not boldly own a gun, because people tend to abuse on what they have. There are also abusive people who are in power that will use their power to shut people up. People who are abusive only because they have guns, like the military or the police, who has guns. Instead of keeping peace with these guns, they use these guns to do more harm to people. People who are greedy in power and who are jealous of one another. Disputes over family versus another family. Instead of using their power for peace, they just use it for harm to take advantage for us, ordinary people. Because they know we are powerless in front of them. An example of this time where Spaniards ruled over us, and the Philippines revolt, where the Katimoneros wield their weapons against the abusive aggressors. But there is also another way on fighting. Like Jose Rizal did, his words and writings with his pen and a paper instead of a gun. There are also good effects in approving gun control. It could just lessen the crime rate of a certain country because people has less chances of buying a gun in a random store. It will reduce chances of syndicates across the globe buy guns or smuggle them from a smuggler, because smuggler has access to the manufacturers of this weaponry. The government will monitor or be stricter with manufacturing these weapons, and store won't sell these guns to a random person. If they have no proper training and proper handling of these weapons, less access means less war, and less violence, and more peace. Therefore, I conclude, gun control is for peace. But it can't be a thing with only controlling these guns, because people can make war with knives and bare hands. It should start with ourselves, because if we have the correct morality and strict and proper discipline, we can avoid war and have a peaceful life. It also involves our government, because they have the authority to control our military power like our dictator Marcos did, who ruled us with an iron hand, making Filipinos suffer. Not only our government, but each individual who wields a gun must change and use it to make peace and not for war.